Though we claim to follow Jesus, it is common to hear that ministry in his name is shame-based. How do we deal with shame, and how do we minister truth without inflicting shame on those whom God so dearly loves? Welcome to a psalm for today, your reassuring voice that Jesus is Lord. Psalm 18 says, "Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand hath holden me up, and thy gentleness hath made me great." For those that are viewing for the first time this season, we are going through Psalms that align with the fruit of the Spirit. And we are on the fruit of the Spirit aspect known as gentleness. One of the most consistent findings in both attachment research and contemplative tradition is that lasting transformation does not happen under threat. Lasting change, lasting transformation does not happen under threat. Lasting and transformational change happens in safety. This is a powerful beginning to a conversation about shame. Shame does not produce lasting transformation. A gentleman whose work I have read in relationship to my studies on trauma for my PhD, Bessel Kolk, his work on trauma established neurologically what the mystics intuited spiritually. So people that followed Christ learned this without the science. And that is, the nervous system must be regulated before the interior life can be reorganized. Oh, wow. The interior life cannot be reorganized until the nervous system has been regulated. My friend who did her PhD in a similar topic, her word is regulation before reason. The brain needs to be regulated before it moves into the capacity to reason. This is why shame-based spiritual formation tends to produce compliance rather than conversion. My goodness. Have you noticed that somebody will comply in order to avoid shame, but they do not convert, or they don't have a conversion of beliefs and behaviors? Shame activates the threat responses. You are familiar with those. And when you are experiencing shame, that threat response is launched. The gentleness of God disarms that threat, which is why so many people describe genuine encounter with God's tenderness as the moment real change begins. Thus, shame-based ministry is ineffective. A verse that has always been meaningful to me, I think Matthew 11, it says, "Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Come to me is not a command. Come to me. It's an invitation. Come to me. And we know that conversion, we know that a gentle invitation produces far better results, and maybe the only results, when the agency of the person is involved. Come to me. That means you can or you can't, no pressure. Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden. Come on. Some people did, and some people didn't. But the people who did, they followed Christ of their own will, their own volition. This means that formation practices, discipleship practices, rooted in God's gentleness, the topic of today, should be invitational in character, opening space rather than closing it, drawing rather than driving. This is an interesting way for us to view our relationships with people. Friends with a homosexual couple, a gay couple, and these men are my friends. I see one of them 3 or 4 times a week. He knows that I disagree with his lifestyle as being pleasing to God. He knows that we have different opinions of how to understand the Bible. And yet I'm trying to implement the ministry of Jesus and be invitational based. And the other day we were taking a walk and I said, it's cool that we can disagree and yet be friends. And he said, yeah, that really is cool. And so hopefully gentleness will open the door for further conversation. What about being gentle to yourself? Well, what role does that play? Gentleness to self is one of the most neglected applied dimensions in research, or not in research, but in application. Kristen Neff's research on self-compassion maps remarkably well onto theological anthropology, meaning theological anthropology is how we view the human being according to theology. Here's the finding. People who extend themselves the care they would offer a struggling friend are more resilient, more emotionally honest, and more capable of growth. Those who have found the ability to be gentle with themselves are known to be more resilient, more emotionally honest, and more capable of growth. Many people who would affirm God's gentleness intellectually cannot receive it personally because they hold themselves to a standard they believe God actually shared. This means helping people locate where they have fused their own inner critic with the voice of God. I've done this so many times. I fused my inner critic with the voice of God. And gently, crucially gently, differentiating those two voices. Is that my inner critic or is that the voice of God? Powerful. The inner critic tends to be harsh, totalizing, and hopeless. The voice of the shepherd tends to be specific, tender, and forward-leaning. I have more notes than I'm going to cover tonight. I think I'll stop on the notes at this point. Does your inner critic get confused with the voice of God? And does your inner critic produce a sense of shame? Whenever I even say the word shame, I immediately think of the old Rugged Cross song that Jesus on the cross, its shame and reproach gladly bore. That there is a place to bear shame, but we bear that shame toward Jesus on the cross. All the mistakes you've made, all the mistakes I've made are not improved by carrying a sense of shame. The world is no better off, and you are no better off if you experience shamefulness in your life. The message of a trauma ministry is take your trauma to the trauma of the cross and receive forgiveness there and find resurrection day just on the other side of the cross's trauma. The inner critic part is so ubiquitous. That's a large word. The inner critic is almost everywhere present for some people. And for me, I had a sense of inner criticism. I would critique myself in a negative way. And then, as you know, the larger your ministry grows, the more critics you have, and they're always willing to share their opinion. So then the inner critic was being reinforced by the other critics, and it can be a downward spiral. But the good news is Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden. It's an invitation. Come to me. I invite you to come to me. This is a safe space, free of the threat of shame. whatever you've experienced, however you've experienced, and how long you've experienced it, Jesus says, come on, I invite you, I'll be gentle with you. And so, brothers and sisters, throughout our days, may we carry the gentleness of Jesus and remove people's shame.